All right. Shalom, shalom. This is your brother Amawan Ariel coming to you with another lesson. First and foremost, before we begin, I want to start by giving all praise, all honor unto Yahweh, by Hashem Yahweh Shai, by Hashem Kodash, double honor to the apostles of Great Millstone. Well, shalom to the elders, the teachers, and apostles of Great Millstone who do this work in truth and sincerity. To you all, I say shalom. And also a shalom to the few sisters that are listening, silent, and also in subjection to you, I say shalom as well. Getting into the article, right? We see it. White people will be the first target. South Africa's Julius Malema warns of impending violence because the poor are getting poorer. Okay, and this was put out, I think, 21 hours ago. Okay, and let me see who this guy is. Malema. All right, Julius Malema is a South African politician and activist who is a member of Parliament and the president and commander-in-chief of the Economic Freedom Fighters, a South African political party which he founded in July 2013. Okay, so this is an activist in South Africa making a statement such as white people will be the first target. And why will they be the first target? Because the poor are getting poorer. All right, is he talking about the whites being poorer? No, he's talking about a division between the so-called whites and the so-called black, quote-unquote, people. Okay. At the end, this is just another prophecy that's being fulfilled through the scriptures. Okay. And the first one that I wanted to grab was going to be in 2 Corinthians 16. Well, let's read this article before we get into that. Okay. And it reads, a South African opposition figure has warned of impending civil unrest in the continent's richest country. Okay? The continent's Africa's richest country, and you still got poor people in that country, which means what? Only the so-called Caucasians are getting rich. Only the so-called Caucasians are making money, are able to live well, while everybody else in the country suffers. Okay. It says the controversial opposition leader Julius Malema spoke of the country waking up one day with very angry people that are not going to be reasonable, right? Because the thing is, if poverty, you can't. The biggest thing that's affected during poverty is hunger, starvation. That's one of the main things that you see. And when people start getting hungry, people start, getting up in the point where they start doing desperate things. They start doing things that they would normally do if they were well fed, okay? And they're going to start to look for someone to blame. And right now, it's the so-called Caucasians or the so-called white man in that area, in that region, okay? So it says, discontent with the ruling African National Congress, ANC party in South Africa, is at all-time high levels due to the social conditions within the country and the poor becoming poor, according to Malema, right? So, quote, poor becoming poor. So that means if you ain't had nothing, you definitely ain't got shit. If you ain't had shit, you got negative nothing. Okay? When the unled revolution comes, the first target is going to be white people, Mr. Malema told the BBC's Hard Talk program, adding that the uprising would also target black elites. So hand joined in hand, the wicked shall not go unpunished. You see? Because we got wicked amongst our own people as well. And you got wicked amongst, you have wicked men amongst almost every nation, right? And what they do sometimes is they side up with the wicked, the so-called white man, to continue to make more money, to continue to be on top and things of that nature. Okay? Because Job 9:24 says the earth is given into the hands of the wicked. He covers the faces of the judges thereof. So at the end of the day, we see that Esau Edom is ruling, right? The finance, everything is in the hands of Esau Edom. And they're the ones who are committing these atrocities all over the country of Africa right now, okay? It says the only way to head off the violence was an immediate intervention to raise the quality of living for poor people in the country, according to Malema. Well, is that going to happen? Are these so-called elites going to give up some of their money, some of their assets to allow the people in the country to live better and not starve? I doubt it very much. Okay? Greed is a very, very wicked spirit. The violence that is going to happen in South Africa is because the elite is disappearing and the poor are becoming more poorer, he said. Okay? And this is that guy, Julius Malema. Let me see what else it says. It says, we are not responsible for any single violent activity that has happened in South Africa. Malema is a divisive and controversial figure in South African politics, often accused of fomenting racial tensions. But he was only echoing the words of former South African President Thabo Mbeki, who issued similar warnings last week. One of my fears is that one of these days we're going to have our own version of the Arab Spring, said Mbeki. Okay? And he said that there is no national plan to address the poverty, unemployment, inequality plaguing South Africa, and warning that it would lead to violence. And and this is prophecy, man. You see what I'm saying? See, because when you go into the book of Second Esdras, right? Second Esdras 16:18. Let's start with that one. It says, and this is Esdras, right? And he's talking about the last days and who's going to deliver him in those days. It says, woe is me, who will deliver me in those days? The beginning of sorrows and great mournings, the beginning of famine and great death, the beginning of wars, and the power shall stand in fear, right? These elites, these presidents, these governments, these politicians are going to be in fear of the people and what the people are going to be able to do to them. It says, the beginning of evils. What shall I do when these evils shall come? Behold, famine and plague, tribulation and anguish are sent as scourges for amendment, right? But for all these things, they shall not turn from their wickedness, nor be mindful of the scourges, right? So the wickedness is going to continue even when, after the revolution or the uproar of the people happen. The wickedness is still going to ensue, all right? But this is prophecy. Salat, I'm going to pause real quick. All right, I'll give sorry for that interruption, okay? So, going back to 2nd Esdras 16:18, right? It says the beginning of sorrows and great mourning, the beginning of famine and great death. What we're seeing right now is the beginning, man, okay? The beginnings of sorrow and great death. The people are getting tired of the BS, okay? And they're ready to revolt. 2nd Esdras 15:16 says, for there shall be sedition among men and invading one another. They shall not regard their kings nor princes, and the course of their actions shall stand in their power. And man shall desire to go into a city and shall not be able. For because of their pride, their cities shall be troubled, and their houses shall be destroyed, and men shall be afraid. A man shall have no pity upon his neighbor, but shall destroy their houses with the sword, and spoil their goods, because of lack of bread, and for great tribulation. Behold, saith the Most High, I will call together all the kings of the earth to reverence me, which are from the rising of the sun, from the south, from the east, and Libanus, to turn themselves one against another, and to repay the things they have done to them. Okay? So the Heavenly Father is the one that's stirring up the spirit, man. The spirit of revolution, the spirit of uprising, the spirit of sedition. Alright? It's coming from the Heavenly Father. He's working on the minds of the people and the leaders, the people to revolt and the leaders to put on more pressure in order for the people to revolt. Okay? So this is just the beginning, man. And we need these things for these things to happen in order for the Yahweh Shem Yahushua to come through, man. You see? This is prophecy, and it's popping up. It's popping like popcorn. And our hopes is that Yahweh Shem Yahushua, you know what I'm saying, will be able to come through, on these things, so that way we can get the heck up out of here. All right, let me see if I can grab one more. 9 and 3. All right, and this is another one. He says, he answered me then and said, measure thou the time diligently in itself, and when thou seest part of these signs pass, which I have told thee before, then shalt thou understand that it is the very same time wherein the highest will begin to visit the world which he made. Therefore, when there shall be what? Earthquakes and uproars of the people in the world, then shalt thou well understand that the Most High spake of these things from the days that were before thee, even from the beginning. For like all that is made in the world has a beginning and the end is manifest. Even so the times also of the highest have plain beginnings and wonder and powerful works, and endings and effects and signs. And every one that shall be saved shall be able to escape by his works and by faith whereby you have believed, shall be preserved from said perils, and shall see my salvation in the land, in my land, and within my borders. For I have sanctified them for me from the beginning. They shall be in pitiful case which now have abused my ways, and they that have cast them away despitefully shall dwell in torment. So the Heavenly Father is the one that's provoking these nations, man, to go against each other. All right, because of all the unrighteous dealings that are being done in the earth. Okay. It goes on to say, unemployment in South Africa is rifled, inflation is at a 13-year high, corruption is perceived to be rampant, and the energy sector is troubled. Protesters have demanded the immediate suspension of South African and ANC President Cyril Ramaphosa, the reduction of the fuel price, immediate end to load shedding, planned electricity blackouts, right? Interruptions and implementation of the living wage, and a 12% salary increase for all public servants. Okay? The current President Cyril Ramaphosa has acknowledged a difficult time for the country, but in a separate speech said that the ANC had a plan to fix things. But it is questionable whether his words will have any credibility. The 30 million South Africans, 55% of the country, who live below poverty line, according to the World Bank. So these people are getting tired of Esau Edom's bullshit, and they're going to buck up against Esau Edom, and there's going to be a great breakout of uproars and seditions and things of that nature. So be ready for it. Keep your eyes open, and remember these are the things that the Heavenly Father said would happen in the last days, man. All right. So with that, I want to give all praise, all honor, all glory unto Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahammashai, Bahashem, Hahakadash, Shalom.